Welcome to Health Movinity, your trusted space for wellness, vitality, and smarter living. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine this. You go to sleep feeling fine, but slowly, quietly, and without warning, something begins to slip. Names become harder to remember. Conversations fade. A familiar street becomes confusing. And when we wake up the next morning, we blame age. But what if I told you? The real damage is happening while you sleep. According to Japan's oldest practicing doctor, now over 100 years old, 99% of seniors are unknowingly damaging their memory at night through 6 simple bedtime habits most people never think about. Habit number 1 may seem harmless at first glance, but it is silently destroying memory during sleep. Many seniors sit in bed before sleeping and scroll through their phones, check messages, watch television, or look at brightly lit screens. What they do not realize is that these screens produce something called blue light, a strong wavelength that tricks the brain into thinking it is still daytime. When this happens, the brain stops releasing melatonin, which is the sleep hormone that helps us drift into deep, restorative rest. Without melatonin, the body lies down, but the mind stays awake, restless, and confused. Over time, this small habit interrupts the most important stage of sleep, called deep sleep. This is when the brain files memories, stores new information, and clears out waste from brain cells. When deep sleep is disturbed, memories from the day are not stored properly. It becomes harder to remember names, harder to recall conversations, and harder to think clearly. Seniors may believe they are simply aging, but this constant exposure to blue light is speeding up the process of memory loss. Scientists have compared the brain's memory process to a library. During deep sleep, tiny brain workers organize books, fix damaged pages, and put everything back in order. But when the screens delay sleep, those workers have less time. They hurry, they rush, and eventually, important pieces of memory are misplaced. This is why many seniors wake up feeling foggy, dizzy, or slow, even after what seems like a full night's rest. The problem does not stop there. The excitement from watching dramatic shows or emotional news increases adrenaline. This makes the heart beat faster and signals the brain to stay alert. It becomes harder to relax, and some seniors toss and turn for hours. By the time they fall asleep, the brain is already exhausted. Sleep becomes shallow, dreams become chaotic, and the next morning brings headaches or lack of focus. Another hidden danger lies in the way phones keep the mind active. Social media feeds, bright ads, and endless videos stimulate the brain like fireworks. Every swipe brings new colors, new sounds, new emotions. This keeps the brain buzzing instead of calming down. Like an engine that runs too hot for too long, the memory center begins to wear down. Neurons become weaker and new memories fail to form. Even after falling asleep, the damage continues. The brain keeps replaying the last images seen before bed. If these images are emotional, stressful, or dramatic, they activate parts of the brain that should be resting. It becomes difficult to enter deep sleep waves, and the memory centers do not fully shut down for repairs. Over many months, this habit can lead to something called sleep debt. It builds up silently. Day after day, the brain becomes more tired, more forgetful, and more easily overwhelmed. Seniors may notice that familiar faces look new, simple tasks feel confusing, and common words slip away. These changes are often blamed on age, but in truth, they are often the silent result of bright screens before bedtime. Sleeping too late has become one of the most common habits among seniors, yet it is one of the most harmful to memory and brain health. Many people think staying up late is harmless, believing that the brain can rest any time. But the reality is very different. The brain has a natural schedule, often called the circadian rhythm, which is like an internal clock controlling sleep, hormone release, and even memory consolidation. When someone goes to bed late, this clock is disrupted, and the brain's natural repair system does not function properly. Research shows that the hours between 10 at night and 2 in the morning are the most critical for brain health. During this period, the brain enters deep sleep stages where it not only stores memories, but also clears out toxic substances accumulated throughout the day. These toxins, if left in the brain, can damage nerve cells and slow down memory processing. For seniors, this period is even more important because the brain is naturally more vulnerable with age. Missing these hours means missing the brain's most effective cleaning and repairing cycle, which can accelerate forgetfulness. Staying up late also affects the production of melatonin, the hormone responsible for signaling the body to sleep. Melatonin levels usually peak in the early night and gradually decline by morning. When bedtime is delayed, melatonin production is reduced, making it difficult to fall into deep, restorative sleep. This shallow sleep leaves seniors feeling tired even after hours in bed. Fatigue affects not only memory but also attention, mood, and decision-making. Tasks that were once simple, like recalling names or following a conversation, become harder and more stressful. The effects of late sleep accumulate gradually. One night of going to bed late may not cause obvious problems, but when repeated night after night, the brain begins to experience sleep debt. This debt leads to chronic memory problems, slower thinking, and decreased ability to learn new information. Seniors may notice small changes at first, misplacing items, forgetting appointments, or struggling to recall familiar words. Over time, these small lapses can become more frequent and concerning, even affecting daily independence. In addition, late-night wakefulness often comes with stimulating activities. Watching TV shows, reading, or browsing phones keeps the brain active when it should be resting. The combination of mental stimulation and delayed sleep further disrupts the brain's memory processing system. Nerve cells, which require quiet and calm to repair, remain overworked. This makes it harder to form new memories and recall old ones, creating a cycle where the brain becomes increasingly fatigued. Another consequence of late sleep is the impact on hormone balance and overall health. Cortisol, the stress hormone, may rise when sleep is delayed, keeping the body in a state of alertness instead of rest. Blood pressure and heart rate can also be affected, indirectly harming the brain. Memory centers, particularly in the hippocampus, rely on calm, low-stress states to function efficiently. When the brain does not get this environment due to late sleep, memory decline accelerates. Over time, seniors who consistently go to bed late may feel that memory loss is inevitable, but in reality, it is largely the result of missing the brain's natural repair window at night. Every hour of sleep lost in these crucial early night periods is an hour the brain cannot recover, clean, or store information. Memory becomes fragmented, attention diminishes, and the mind feels slower, even if the body seems rested. Eating heavy meals right before bed may feel comforting, but it can silently harm memory and disrupt the brain's nightly repair processes. When seniors consume large portions late at night, the digestive system goes into overdrive at a time when the body should be resting. Instead of lying down peacefully, the stomach and intestines are busy breaking down food, pulling blood and energy away from the brain. This means that the very organ responsible for storing memories and repairing itself during sleep receives less support and less oxygen, making it harder to function properly. The brain relies on deep sleep to consolidate information from the day, organizing experiences, conversations, and new knowledge into long-term memory. When digestion is active, this process is interrupted. Blood flow that should nourish the brain is diverted to the stomach, slowing down the brain's natural cleaning and organizing system. Over weeks and months, this disruption can lead to forgetfulness and difficulty recalling even simple facts. Seniors may notice that names, dates, and familiar details become harder to remember, while mental fog seems to increase every morning. Heavy meals before bed also increase the likelihood of acid reflux, indigestion, and discomfort, which further interfere with sleep quality. Tossing and turning at night prevents the brain from reaching the deep stages of sleep that are critical for memory consolidation. Even small amounts of discomfort can reduce sleep efficiency, fragmenting the night into periods of light sleep and wakefulness. During these fragmented nights, the brain struggles to perform its nightly cleaning tasks. leaving behind toxins that can slowly damage nerve cells. Another effect of late-night eating is its impact on blood sugar levels. Consuming high carbohydrate or sugary meals before sleep causes blood sugar to spike, followed by rapid drops during the night. These fluctuations stress the body and brain, triggering hormonal changes that can disrupt sleep cycles. Cortisol, the stress hormone, may rise in response, keeping the mind more alert when it should be resting. The hippocampus, the area of the brain responsible for memory formation, becomes less efficient under these conditions. Even small, seemingly harmless snacks can contribute to this problem. Cheese, bread, sweets, or leftover meals can all cause the digestive system to remain active when it should be winding down. Over time, the brain loses precious hours of uninterrupted deep sleep. This cumulative effect can make seniors feel more forgetful and mentally slow, even if they spend enough hours in bed. The timing of meals also affects other bodily systems that support brain health. Hormones like insulin, ghrelin, and leptin, which regulate appetite, metabolism, and energy, are thrown off balance. When these hormones fluctuate during sleep, they can indirectly impact the brain's ability to repair and store memories. Seniors may find themselves waking up tired despite spending a full night in bed, with memory lapses more noticeable in the morning. In short, the quiet act of eating late at night creates a chain reaction. The stomach works overtime, blood is diverted from the brain, sleep becomes lighter, and memory consolidation is disrupted. Over weeks, months, and years, this habit can quietly weaken memory, making familiar faces, names, and daily tasks harder to recall. The body's natural nightly repair system, which relies on deep, undisturbed sleep, cannot function properly when heavy meals are consumed just before bedtime, leaving the brain less protected and more vulnerable to the effects of aging. Many seniors fall into the habit of sleeping with the television on, believing that the noise provides comfort or helps them relax. At first, it may seem harmless, even soothing, but in reality, it prevents the brain from entering the deep, restorative stages of sleep that are essential for memory. The brain is never completely turned off, even during sleep. It continues to process information, regulate bodily functions, and consolidate memories. When the television is on, the constant sound and changing images keep parts of the brain active, interrupting the natural flow of sleep cycles. The flickering light and varying sounds from the TV activate the brain's auditory and visual centers, which should be resting during the night. Even if the eyes are closed and the brain appears to be asleep, subtle neural activity is occurring. These disruptions prevent the brain from reaching slow-wave sleep, the stage in which memories from the day are sorted, organized, and stored. Without this deep sleep, seniors may wake up feeling groggy, forgetful, or mentally slow. Names, dates, and conversations may slip away, and learning new information becomes more challenging. Sleeping with the television on also keeps the brain in a state of partial alertness. Noise, even at a low volume, triggers microarousals, brief moments when the brain wakes just enough to register sound, but not enough to fully awaken the person. Over time, these microarousals accumulate, fragmenting the night into smaller segments of sleep that are less restorative. The brain cannot complete its full cycle of repair, and memory consolidation suffers as a result. In addition to affecting memory, this habit impacts the balance of hormones that regulate sleep. Cortisol, the stress hormone, may rise in response to ongoing stimulation, while melatonin, the hormone that promotes sleep, may be suppressed. The combination of these hormonal changes makes it harder for the body to relax fully and for the brain to perform its nightly maintenance. The hippocampus, which plays a central role in memory formation, is particularly vulnerable to these disturbances. Over time, this can lead to more noticeable lapses in memory and slower cognitive processing. The brain also uses deep sleep to clear away waste products that accumulate during waking hours. This cleaning process is critical for long-term brain health and helps prevent cognitive decline. When the TV is on, these restorative processes are delayed or disrupted. Memory cells do not get a full night of repair, and nerve connections may weaken. Seniors may notice that even simple tasks, such as recalling phone numbers or remembering a story from the previous day, become more difficult. Even habitual background noise from the television can affect dream cycles, causing restless or fragmented dreams that prevent full mental rest. The brain is busy processing sound and movement rather than focusing on memory consolidation and neural repair. Over time, the cumulative effect of this nightly disruption can quietly erode memory, making it harder to stay mentally sharp and alert. Ultimately, sleeping with the television on creates a hidden barrier between the brain and the deep sleep it needs. While it may feel comforting in the moment, it interferes with the natural rhythms of sleep, prevents proper memory storage, and weakens cognitive function over time. The quiet, uninterrupted nights that the brain relies on are replaced by fragmented, restless sleep, leaving seniors more vulnerable to forgetfulness and mental fatigue. Many seniors struggle with going to bed while carrying stress, worry, or emotional tension from the day. Bills, health concerns, family issues, and lingering responsibilities can weigh heavily on the mind, and when these thoughts follow a person to bed, the brain remains active instead of resting. Sleep is the time when the brain organizes memories, repairs nerve cells, and clears away toxins, but stress interrupts these vital processes. When cortisol, the stress hormone, remains high at night, the brain cannot fully enter deep sleep stages. This makes it harder for memories to be consolidated and stored, leaving the mind foggy and forgetful the next morning. Stress at bedtime also affects the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for forming new memories. High levels of cortisol over time can shrink this critical region, impairing the ability to learn new information and recall past experiences. Seniors may notice that names, dates, or familiar details slip away more easily, or that tasks once simple now feel confusing. The mind feels slower, less sharp, and less reliable, even after a full night of sleep. Worrying before sleep can also lead to restless nights, tossing and turning, and fragmented sleep cycles. The brain relies on uninterrupted periods of deep sleep to perform its nightly cleaning process, removing waste products and repairing nerve cells. When sleep is interrupted by racing thoughts, this process is delayed or incomplete. Toxins accumulate in the brain, leading to a gradual decline in cognitive function and memory retention. Over time, these small disruptions can add up, creating noticeable difficulties with memory and concentration. Emotional stress can also increase the likelihood of vivid or troubling dreams, which further disturb sleep quality. The brain becomes preoccupied with processing unresolved worries or emotional events instead of focusing on restorative functions. This divided attention prevents the brain from performing the deep memory consolidation it needs to maintain sharpness and clarity. Even when seniors appear to be sleeping, their minds are not truly resting, and memory storage is incomplete. Chronic stress at night can create a cycle of mental fatigue. Waking up tired or foggy leads to more anxiety and frustration during the day, which then carries into the next night. This cycle makes it harder to maintain clear thinking and sharp memory over time. The brain, under constant tension, becomes less efficient at forming new connections and recalling existing information, leaving seniors more vulnerable to forgetfulness and confusion. Even small stressors can have a cumulative effect. Unfinished tasks, lingering worries, or emotional tension may seem minor, but night after night they interfere with the natural rhythms of sleep and memory consolidation. The brain relies on calm and restorative conditions to protect memory and cognitive health. Without these conditions, memory gradually weakens, attention declines, and seniors may feel their mental abilities slipping despite their efforts to stay active and engaged. Ultimately, going to bed with stress or worry quietly sabotages memory and brain health. The mind never fully rests, deep sleep is interrupted, and the vital processes that support learning, recall, and mental clarity are compromised. Over time, this habit contributes to memory lapses, slower thinking, and a growing sense of mental fatigue that can affect daily life and independence.